real quick what sold video for last week. It's going to be quick because we do not have a crazy amount of sales. The pattern's just kind of holding. eBay was actually really slow, really low, lower than it's been, I think, in a while. And I'll pop up a picture right here of my chart for the month that's on my seller dashboard on eBay, and you can see there's just way too many days with no sales at all. So that's no good. But anyway, had a couple good amounts. Some of the things that sold for a fairly good amount, so I'm not too upset about that. We're going to start with eBay, and this was the second pair of Vuori pants that I had. I had two that were exact same style. I got them at two different thrift stores. This was a smaller size. This was a size medium. I found them at Goodwill, and they were on the rack where people put things back after they try things on. So I always check that rack. As you know, if I glance over and there's a bunch of things on that rack, then I'll go over and double check that there's, see if there's anything good. I figure if people were interested in it enough to try it on, it might be something that other people online would like to purchase. So I always check that rack. So this is the brand. It's Vuori. Here's the tag. Vuori. And these are just kind of a ripstop jogger style comfortable pants. They sell the brand, I think, at like REI and different places like that. So sold these for $44.99, $45. So it's a good brand to keep an eye out for. Next sale on eBay was another hat. This, I believe, was new without tags. I think all we knew is inside, I think it still maybe had the cardboard insert. The theme was archery, which we have found to be a fairly good theme to especially in baseball caps, to kind of keep an eye out for. Like we said, this hat was in really good condition. So it didn't sell for $32.99, but we did take an offer for $28. So that's a little bit higher than some of the hats. We kind of usually on a kind of basic hat, we start off at $25 and kind of go down from there. And this one, actually, we started a little bit higher and it sold for $28. So that was a good deal. And we picked that up at Goodwill. Next is a Hawaiian shirt, Nat Nast. This was part of my Hawaiian shirt big bulk purchase that I did. I have a video about that if you're interested, and if you haven't seen it already. And so this was one of the Nat Nast shirts. I went ahead, I made a collage to show what the scene was over here. So it's basically like an outdoor bar, tropical kind of bar. And I sold that shirt for, I'm pretty sure it was that full asking price of, yeah, $49.99 plus shipping. So that was nice. It had been listed maybe a month or so. So it wasn't super fast, but we were able to sell it without without having to send an offer or a coupon or anything. Next one, this was fun. My husband, we did a quick weekend away this month. Had to go down to another town for an event, and we hit a couple thrift stores. And so he found these in the baggie wall with all the toys. And so these are original, like 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle plush. And we got a message from the buyer, or ultimately it was the buyer. And she was like, "Are you sure they're 9 inches?" So she said she'd been trying to find a certain size of these toys, of these plush, for a long time, that she remembered having as a kid, that it would, like, the shell would like fit in her hand. And so she was, like, she said she would order some, and then they'd come in the mail, and it would end up being a totally different size or whatever. So she wanted confirmation, either holding it in our hand or a picture next to a tape measure. So that's what we did. We went ahead and took a picture next to a yardstick and sent it to her. She was super excited. Went ahead and paid $50 for the two plush. and then left this wonderful feedback. I'm going to pop it up here. She was just super excited to finally have found the plush that she had been looking for, I think it says in the feedback, like 8 years or so. So that was kind of fun. And we just paid a couple bucks for the bag. If you can find the whole set of these, my husband said it's, you know, the whole set will sell for $100 or more. And so we were happy to get $50 for the two. And then you've been seeing these. I don't know how many of these he bought, but another utility knife pack sold. This one went overseas in the eBay international program. So I'm assuming, you know, we'll see what happens. Some knives and some things are trickier to send overseas. I don't even know what country that these were going to. And so we'll just let eBay handle it if there's any kind of customs issue. And then Arborwear. So my second Arborwear, I mentioned this a week or so ago. This is tree climbers gear, so an arborist or whatever. So it's a very workwear, very heavy duty kind of shirt. The only problem, not problem, but all the comps I could find were for Arborwear were full button shirts. And this was kind of a pullover. It only buttoned partway down, but it was pullover, but it was still that heavy kind of khaki canvas type shirt. So it was really hard to find comps. Now, two of the shirts I had damage, and those are the two shirts that have sold. So the ones with damage have sold first. So I told my husband, I said, you know what this tells me? People want these shirts. They don't care about the damage because of, you know, what they're going to use it for. But they don't want to pay like more than $30. So our other one that's in good shape, I think we have it listed a little bit higher. So we talked about dropping the price a little bit. So I'm going to try that and see if that works. This, you know, this particular style, $30, $35, maybe I'll ask for the better one. You know, that might be kind of the limit for that. The full button shirts seem to sell pretty well, and any pants and things had a good selling price on those, or different good comps that I saw. Okay, next one is my favorite sale of the week. You probably saw it on the thumbnail. So I like to sell vintage neckties, and I have sold quite a few over the years. I have sold some on eBay, some on Etsy, and then I also, there's a Facebook group for people who collect vintage neckties, and they show off their collections or they show off their outfits. And these guys are really interested in mostly like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and, you know, pretty much in that range, not too much later than that. So not the wide 70s polyester ties or anything like that. So just hanging out in that group, I have sold some ties to those guys directly before, but they'll, you know, answer my questions and things like that. But just hanging out there, I knew that they love this style tie. So here's the label on it. It says Palm Beach. So it's the type of cloth is called Palm Beach. And they just love their Palm Beach ties. And so whenever they get one, they're always like anxious to show it off and everything like that. So I had that filed away, and I was like, well, if I ever see a Palm Beach cloth tie, then I'm going to go for it. So these are from the 40s. The Palm Beach fabric, I think, came out in like late 30s. And this, you know, construction, fourfold construction is patented as well. And so it's a very like linen feeling type of cloth. And yeah, you can see the construction's a little bit different than a modern tie. But as soon, so I was at Goodwill last week, and I always look through the ties. And speaking of ties, do you guys want a necktie video? I can do a necktie video. I have a profit pile of neckties because I don't always list them right away. But just like everything else in my life. But anyway, I have sold quite a few and have done pretty well. So I can do a necktie video, you know, down the line. But anyway, so this one, I was just like, I'm looking through the neckties, I feel the material, and I was like, oh, no way, that would be so awesome. And sure enough, I flip it over, I see that Palm Beach label, and I'm like, yay! So I researched it. There are, the striped ones were selling kind of in this range, 50 or whatever. Some people were running auctions, and it was really kind of hard to judge, which auctions were going to take off. I just decided to go I was going to do 50, and then I was like, you know what, I'll bump it to 60. And it sold full price in, not immediately, but like within the next day or so. It sold to somebody in California. I just was super happy about that. I paid $2, and I think I had a 20% off coupon as well that day. And just kind of, it was one of my bucket list items without really being consciously knowing it was a bucket list item. But I was super excited to find that. Okay, and then the last sale on eBay for the week was just this Stella McCartney together with Adidas. It was just a sleeveless shirt. It didn't sell for 30. It sold, I think, for 22 with an offer. And it also went in the eBay International program. It shipped internationally. So, yes. Anyway. Okay, moving over to Poshmark. This is my favorite sale on Poshmark. So this is a vintage patio lamp. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like when it's not lit up. It looks like this. Okay, so it's the company is called Lawnware, and it's like this just resin kind of plastic hanging lamp. And then I think it had holes in it, and then you could decorate. It was like a kit. Like people could decorate their own lamps, in whatever design or whatever they wanted to, just by putting those plastic colored tab things in the holes. So they're not usually, all alike. I think they're all pretty much different because it just depends on how the person made it. So I picked this up at a yard sale last summer. The lady was just tickled that I wanted it, and I think it was $1. And she said, I think her uncle had put it together, whatever, and it had been hanging for a long time. So yeah, when you light it up, the different colors kind of come through the plastic. And they're really popular with people with campers, people who have like the retro campers and, have that kind of mid-century style to their retro camper action. So anyway, I was happy to see that. We got it cleaned up, and then we used, the little area. While we were listing lamps, my husband went ahead and listed it, took the pictures anyway. Well, no, I think he listed it, and I cross-posted it to all these different places. And it was, Poshmark is where it ended up selling. So it sold for $50. Next one was a Ralph Lauren shirt. I'm usually fairly picky with Ralph Lauren shirts. I am tempted all the time to get them. They just sell, for me, like button shirts like this just seem to sell really, really slowly. They're in every thrift store I go to, and so they're not really hard to come by. This one was a little bit different, and I took a chance on it because it was like a double layer, and I couldn't really figure out a way to explain it, but it was basically a lined shirt. So it wasn't reversible. It was plaid on one side, but then the inside was lined with chambray, like a fake denim chambray material. So it was very much like a shacket. It was thicker than a regular shirt. And it took a while. These pictures were taken in the last place we lived. So back before last summer sometime, I probably listed this. And it sold finally for $30 on Poshmark. OluKai is a fairly good shoe brand to kind of keep an eye out for. Sandals, casual type shoes. Their logo, if you look at this picture, kind of keep an eye out for that hook logo. They're awesome because they always put the name of their shoe right on the shoe someplace. And anyway, those sold for $28. This was just kind of a fun little pickup. My husband picked this up one time when he went to our little clearance outlet thrift store. And, like I said many times, we just pay pennies of the things that we get there. And he picked up this shirt. It's not a brand I recommend or anything like that, Carbon. It's pretty common and not high value. But he had picked it up because it was the Popsicles, the Bomb Pops design on it, and he figured somebody would want that. So that sold for $19. Kate Spade, I picked up these little flats. Kate Spade is kind of, I don't know, people get excited about it, but I always have a hard time selling it. And it can be faked, like the purses can be faked pretty often. These I just thought were super cute, just like little ballet flats. They had the little charm on the end, and they were scuffed up a little bit because they were that patent leather. But they finally sold for $30, so can't argue with that. Another necklace sold on Poshmark. I think I sold a JCrew necklace last week, the week before as well, and the last what sold. This was another JCrew. You know, I don't even remember where I picked it up or anything, but it sold for $15. Like I said, they don't sell for huge amounts, you know, unless they're worth a lot of money. They don't sell for huge amounts on Poshmark because people have to pay like $7 to $8 to ship it. And they don't have like a cheaper first class shipping option on Poshmark. So sometimes if you want to get into jewelry and you list a bunch of jewelry on Posh, then people can bundle things together and they feel like they're getting more for their shipping money. Here's another brand, a little top I picked up not that long ago and sold. It sold fairly quickly. The brand is Cash or Cachet, I guess, because it has the accent. And it was a silk blend top, just real pretty design. And anyway, it sold for $23. It sold for, like I said, pretty quickly. I think I paid about $3 in a nearby thrift store. And then winter is still selling. So LL Bean, this is a fleece. You know, it's not super heavy duty. It's just fleece. It's not wool. But it's vintage LL Bean, pillbox shape. And it was made in the USA. And it just had this cute little floral band on it. So either somebody, you know, still is looking for something, you know, because it's still kind of chilly here and there. Or they're just prepping for next year. You never know. And another hat, this Adidas hat, just, you know, nothing special to it, just a black logo on a black hat. And as you can see, the strap, we put hook and loop because you can't really use Velcro if you weren't aware. It's very copyrighted, that term, and people from Velcro will come after you for using Velcro in your listing. So it's just better to call it hook and loop, even if it is actual Velcro product that you're using. This was a new with tags Peter Millar pullover. It sold for $50. We did have it higher, but it did have a logo on the sleeve. And it was a fairly good size logo, CSL Capital Management, whatever. But like I said, it was new with tags. And Peter Millar sells, you know, retail is pretty high. I'm thinking this one was, oh, maybe it's not saying on this tag what retail was. I guess not. But I think my husband looked it up. And so it's usually over $100 for their pieces. And so we had it up around 80 or 90. And because of the personalization on it, we got this $50 offer and we just decided to take that. And then another sale, we just went ahead. We had this listed higher. It's RLX, Ralph Lauren. It's one of their activewear lines that they don't do anymore. And when we first listed this, it had a lot of interest, and then that just kind of backed off and everything. So we got a, I think, $20 offer, and we countered with 25. And so we did higher, and then they came back with 25. And we sat on it for a while and thought about it. And with sales being as low as they are this week, we just decided to move another item. Then the last one on Posh was a pretty good sale. This was a blazer I picked up one day at a thrift store. I remember feeling really like discouraged because so much stuff at the thrift store is just so high priced. And this is one of the few things I picked up that day. And for some reason, this really nice blazer was marked $6. And it was a day where they do a discount for seniors and for veterans. And it just depends on who you get. Some people just give you the discount without even asking how old you are or whatever. There's even another store in this line of thrift stores that's in our area, and they just tell you, we're just going to give it to everybody because they don't want to ask anybody their age, right? So but this one's hit or miss. It depends on who you get and how they handle it. And so I was like, you know what, I'm okay paying $6 for this jacket because it was in really good condition, and the Western look is, you know, fairly popular. This was Circle S was the brand from Dallas, Texas. And anyway, I did end up getting it for half off that day. So I only paid $3 and it sold. I took an offer for $45. Moving over to Ruby Lane, we had a couple little sales there. Jewelry this week. And this little brooch was so stinking cute. It was like in the shape of a princess telephone, and I sold that for $20. It didn't have any kind of markings or anything like that. Just a kind of basic mid-century piece. And then the next two items went to the same buyer. And these I would have listed a little bit higher. They are clip earrings, but they're super sweet little forget-me-nots, and it's enamel and rhinestones and everything, but that blue rhinestone is missing right there in the middle of one of them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to list it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and throw $12 on it. And so the lady who bought these also bought another piece, Sarah Coventry. It's a double strand necklace that sold for $24. So I was super happy with that. This was like a really unique piece. It's the little leaves and flowers are lucite plastic, so super lightweight, but just very interesting looking. Then over on Etsy, we'll go to my husband's shop first, and he sold this item, this Dymo, for $25. So very retro, you know, very manual Dymo, nothing special to it, not electronic or anything, but very, you know, a good color with its original box, as well as this orange one. And he put some tape with it. It had its box too. It's orange. So this one was $35. The other one was $25. And the buyer was overseas, and he asked us to combine shipping, and he bought both of them. So we were happy to do that for him. And then the other sale he had was this glass swan sculpture, and it is Sooner glass, and it, you know, very interesting looking. This was just basically our friends moved recently, and we kind of helped them with a yard sale a little bit, just kind of set up and everything. We bought a bunch of stuff from them, but then at the end they were just ready. They needed to move, and they needed to get rid of their all their items they couldn't fit and take with them. And so we just said, you know what, we'll take your leftovers and we'll donate. And so a few of the items we kept and we sold, and then a couple items we you know, most of them we gave to like mutual friends of ours who were going to have another yard sale, so they could have another go at selling them off at a yard sale. So garage sale leftover, sold for $42. And then over on my Etsy shop, I didn't have any sewing pattern sales this week, but I did have some flatware, some sales in the flatware shop. So this is the listing that I did in the video I made about how to make a variation listing on Etsy. And so from that listing, I have this week sold this yellow flatware tray for $20. So as you can see, you can't see the sold listing, but you can still see the active. And as you can see, the Rubbermaid and the pink, the orange, and green are all still there. But this vintage, the brand was Hollywood. and it was yellow, and it was super cute because it was scalloped on the edges. And that one sold. I had it priced a little bit higher because it was more unusual, and that sold for $20. So that was kind of fun. And then I just sold these little cocktail forks, pickle forks, whatever you want to call them, very ornate and fancy. I had 5 of them. The brand was Lifetime Cutlery, and they sold for $15. And then I sold some more mid-century. These are soup spoons, the kind of dinner spoons that you use. And they sold for $12. Oval soup spoons, or place spoons, they're sometimes called. Those in knives are usually the slowest to sell and usually don't sell for as much. It's like the dinner forks and the teaspoons are the things that, you know, sell pretty well and quickly because they're the pieces that people lose the most often because they use them more. Salad forks are kind of in the middle. So I think all I have left in this pattern in my shop is some teaspoons and some serving spoons. So we'll see how they do eventually. So anyway, that was it. That was my sales for last week. I hope you guys had a pretty good week. And I will be looking to do part 2 of the office supply video. I'll be working on that this week. And I will also work on the part 2 of the jewelry haul. I need to get that finished up and out there. I did finally order my my things I need in order to test like gold and silver, the acids. And so I went ahead and ordered those. So those aren't coming till the end of the week. So the video won't be out anytime sooner than that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching again. And go ahead, leave me a comment down below. As usual, I ask you to always, whenever you want to, share the things that you sold this week. Share with me how your week is going. How are your sales doing? Have they picked back up in May a little bit? Or are they still kind of, you know, it's just this time of year going into summer and everything. So just let me know what you're doing or how you're doing, and I'd be happy to hear it. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.